Hello and welcome to the lecture of International Business Environment. In this, we will going to discuss upon Block 1, Unit 1. Block 1 is discussing about concepts and dimensions of international business environment. Unit 1, we will going to have a discussions on India's foreign trade. That means we will going to discuss about foreign trade in India. Topics to be covered is introduction to the international business environment, concept of the international business environment, relevancies of international business environment. At the very first unit of international business environment, in the first unit of it, we will going to have an idea about the international business environment. What exactly the concept of international business environment is, we are going to discuss in this chapter. Now, before jumping to the international business environment, the very first question arises is what are business or what are trades? If we discuss it in a very layman language, trade is exchanging of goods and services. Or in other words, we can say that it is what transferring of goods and services. When the goods and services transferred or give to the one another person or give to the another country, that is what the trade is in respect of any certain value, that value in terms of monetary values or in terms of service value. So that comes into exchange. That means we are exchanging the value in terms of values. Now, what is national business? National business, in other words, is stated as the domestic business also. It is very simply means that any activities or any exchange which is occurs within the boundary of a particular country. That means, for example, XYZ is the limited company which is practicing in the India and it's an Indian origin company. In that case, whatever the practice that company perform in India, that is what the domestic business or national business. Because in very definition form, we always define business as a set of activities performed in the business or in the particular industries. So in that case, that all set of activities performed in the domestic boundaries, that comes into domestic business. Now, what is international business? When we state international business, it simply means when we were performing the business or the trade outside the home country. That is the same example, that XYZ Limited is performing their trades outside India. That is what that particular company entered into the international business. They basically perform in the international business. So this is what the very layman understanding of the international business, national business and a trade. There are a numbers of definitions which are provided regarding the international business. The very first is it's all the commercial activities that take place in the particular region and beyond the national regions, considering all the political boundaries. So that comes in that it's a commercial activities, it's a commercial trade which is performed outside that national boundaries. So that is the very first definition which is given regarding the international business. Another, it operates and communicate with each other or with the trades relationship in order to promote the trades and commercial transaction between the two regions. That means when there are certain kind of communication, when there was the operations occurred outside your nation, and due to this operations and due to this communication, if a company is going to have certain benefits. Another is when the business activities are performed on the international level, that's terms an international business. A specific entity which have a multinational corporation and international business company engaged in the multiple countries, that comes into international business. अगर इंटरनेशनल बिजनेस को डिफाइन करना हो तो इसका सिंपल मतलब है कि जब एक कंपनी किसी भी तरीके की कम्युनिकेशन के अंदर आती है, किसी भी तरीके की ऑपरेशंस के अंदर आती है, या वो डिफरेंट कंट्रीज के अंदर जाकर अपने बिजनेस को परफॉर्म करती है, दैट इज व्हाट कंपनी इज इन इंटरनेशनल बिजनेस. दैट इज सिंपल मीन्स इट्स अ इंटरनेशनल बिजनेस. International business leads to the huge success Every organization in today's world is performing in the international business. It's one of the source through which the organizations can gain a success in another level of their business. Like for example, MNCs, globalization. These are the types of the businesses which lead to the another level of normal businesses. For example, XYZ Limited is a domestic company. Now they want to expand their business. They enter into the one country with their product. In that case, they lead to the international business. That means that XYZ Limited company entered into the international business. Same as now, after entering into the one country, they want to expand their business to more countries. That means now company becomes MNC, multinational corporation. They have now multiple countries in which they were performing their businesses. After more expansion and more success, now business want the product at in a very global manner. That means this thing leads to the globalization or the global companies. So globalization have a very important contribution in it in the international business, because the concept of the globalization leads to the international business surroundings. Now, after having the idea about trade or business, and then national, then international, multinational, globalization. Now, what is environment? If we talk about environment, environment is the surroundings of a business. Surroundings, that means all those external factors which affects the business practices, which actually negatively or positively harming that business. Environment वो surroundings होते हैं या वो एक एटमॉस्फेयर होता है बिजनेस का, जिसके थ्रू उसे बहुत या तो नेगेटिव या पॉजिटिव इम्पैक्ट्स आ सकते हैं. दैट इज व्हाट एनवायरनमेंट इज, एंड दैट एनवायरनमेंट लीड्स टू द बिजनेस एनवायरनमेंट. यानी कि हर बिजनेस का अपना एक एनवायरनमेंट होता है, जिस एनवायरनमेंट के अंदर वो बिजनेस सर्वाइव करता है, जिस एनवायरनमेंट के अंदर वो बिजनेस डिफरेंट डिफरेंट प्रैक्टिसेस में आता है, डिफरेंट डिफरेंट स्ट्रैटेजीज को अडॉप्ट करता है. सो इन दैट केस every organization needs to understand कि वो किस environment में perform कर रहा है, वो किस surrounding में perform कर रहा है, और उसी surroundings के अंदर उसे अपने profits को भी gain करना है. So that is what the environment. Now what is international business environment? So what is international business environment? इंटरनेशनल बिजनेस एनवायरनमेंट इज जब एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इंटरनेशनली अपने आप को सेट करना चाहती है, या वो जब दूसरी कंट्रीज के अंदर एंटर होती है, तब बहुत सा ऐसे सराउंडिंग्स और एनवायरनमेंट होते हैं विच दे हैव टू फेस इट. सो इन दैट केस, अंडरस्टैंडिंग दैट इंटरनेशनल बिजनेस एनवायरनमेंट इज अबाउट द अंडरस्टैंडिंग द इंटरनेशनल लेवल. दैट एनवायरनमेंट कुड बी द internal or external. They could be familiar, they could be unfamiliar, they could be controllable and uncontrollable. For example, XYZ at a very initial level, it's a domestic company. In that case, वो अपने domestic country के अंदर perform कर रही थी, यानी कि इंडिया के अंदर. वो उस particular Indian environment के साथ familiar थी. That means that environment is familiar, that environment is somewhere controllable also, but yes, uncontrollable at the same time also. वहीं पर जब हम लोग international level पर enter करते हैं, in that case we have to be in the unfamiliar environment. When we talk about controllable and uncontrollable, in that terms, for example, every company have a internal and external environment. एक्सटर्नल एनवायरमेंट्स द थिंग्स विच आर विद इन अ कंपनी, जो एक कंपनी के अंदर एक्टिविटीज होती हैं, वो एक इंटरनल एनवायरमेंट के अंदर आती है. इंटरनल एनवायरमेंट इज ऑलवेज कंट्रोलेबल. मैनेजर्स और द हेड्स ऑफ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन knows that how to handle them, so that's comes into internal environment. Same wise, there is the external environment which are uncontrollable, that means which are out of control. उनका इफेक्ट हमेशा रहेगा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन पर, एंड यस, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन हैव टू मैनेज विद देम. उन्हें नहीं मैनेज करना है, उनके हिसाब से मैनेज करना है. सो दैट कम्स इनटू द अनकंट्रोलेबल फैक्टर्स. सो दैट इज द थिंग विच इज क्लियर कि इंटरनेशनल बिजनेस एनवायरनमेंट के अंदर बहुत सारे फोर्सेस होते हैं, बहुत सारे फैक्टर्स होते हैं which organization have to understand, और उसी के हिसाब से वो बहुत सारी टेक्निक्स और स्ट्रैटेजीज को फॉलो कर सकती है. That is why there are the two major characteristics of the environment. The two major characteristics are these actors and forces are external. The very first thing is कि जितने भी अब environment के अंदर हम further discussions करेंगे, they all environment are external. Second, they all are uncontrollable. As हमने ये previously भी discuss किया कि जितने भी internal environment होते हैं वो सब controllable होते हैं, वहीं पर जितने भी external environment होते हैं that all comes into the uncontrollable environments. When we talk about external environment दो तरह से होते हैं, that is micro environment and macro environment. Micro environment are those environment which are somewhat at a very small in the impact wise or influencing wise, but yes at the same time they have semi controlled by a company. यानी कि micro environment हमेशा semi controllable होते हैं एक organization के लिए. वहीं पर macro environment वो environments होते हैं which are somewhere uncontrollable for the businesses. So company has to consider all their micro and macro external environment. Same wise there is the international environment. जब एक company international level पर चली जाती है, उस केस में there are the three environment which are to be considered. What is the domestic environment of that particular company? Then what is the foreign environment in which the company wants to perform? And then what is the overall global environment of that particular country? Now this is what is the grammatical presentation of that environment. Every organization have a controllable factors which are the production, finance, human resource, marketing of the organization. Same wise when we comes to the uncontrollable environment, there are domestic environment, foreign environment and then global environment. So this is what the representation, grammatical representation of the full-fledged international business environment. Now what is micro and macro? Micro environment are those factors in which the firm immediate environment which directly influence the firm's decision and operations. Firm के operations को जो directly influence करते हैं that comes into the micro environment. For example, the customers, the suppliers, the shareholders, stakeholders, ये वो होते हैं जिनका direct influence होता है and company have to consider them. But yes, as we discussed previously also, they are all semi-controllable because, for example, company can't change the trend of the liking and disliking of the customers. एक कंपनी अगर कोई प्रोडक्ट लॉन्च कर रही है तो वो कस्टमर्स की ट्रेंड्स और पैटर्न्स को चेंज नहीं कर सकती, बट कंपनी कैन इन्फ्लुएंस देम, दैट मीन्स टू लीड देम. Same wise with the supplier, company can influence the supplier to give them a better services and better facilities, but they can't force them to change their decisions. So that is why they considered as in a semi-controllable environment, and that is why they considered as in a immediate effects and direct effects. When we comes to the microenvironment consists of broader force which affects the firm as well as the other factors in the firm environment. That means it's in a broader perspective, on a very broader range. For example, the political environment, legal environment, financial environment, that all comes into the macro environment of a particular country, which are uncontrollable and broader in terms. This is what the sequence in which the environment affects the organization. Domestic environment, yes, it's controllable. Foreign environments need more concentration. Global environment leads to the higher level of concentration by the companies. What is domestic environment? It is all the uncontrollable forces oriented in the home country that surrounded the influences of the firm. For example, XYZ Limited, the political factors of India, the legal factors of India, the financial factors of India, cultural and social factors of India, all these comes into the domestic environment. यानी कि XY लिमिटेड जितने भी फैक्टर्स को कंसीडर कर रही है जो कि इंडिया से रिलेट करते हैं वो डोमेस्टिक एनवायरनमेंट है. सेम वाइज व्हेन वी कम्स टू द फॉरेन एनवायरनमेंट इज ऑल again uncontrollable forces which are from outside the India, that is not outside your home country, that surrounded influencing of the firm. Like XYZ company was entered into the another country. So the political factors of that particular country, legal factors, social factors, economical factors, geographical factors, that all factors comes into foreign environment. Now what comes into the global environment? Global environment is when the company has to consider the environment in the different sovereign countries. That means when they were considering the environment as a one, and they have to consider it as in a one environment. Global environment affects both domestic and foreign environment. Yes, at the same time it considered all like world trades laws which are formed, at all that legal formalities which are formed by the global level, that's all considered in the global environment. Next is, what are the relevancies of international business environment? When we talk about relevancies, this basically discussing about the significance of the international business environment. The very first significance of international business environment is market potential of the country. That means this basically gives the idea about how much market is favorable for that particular company. So that comes into market potential. And yes, at the same time they discuss about demands in the market. What kind of a demand arises in that particular country, and yes, how much per capita income was generated by that particular company. At the same time they talk about the choices to enter into. That means with what kind of goods an organization can enter, and how they can influence the choices of the customer in that particular country. And another relevancy is environmental forces. That means that company has to consider all the environmental factors which are influencing their functional and tactical decisions. So that comes into the relevancies of international business. International business environments give an organization about these kind of things. They give us the idea about these kind of things. So yes, in this session we basically talked about the very basic of the international business, and we discuss about all the factors and all the environment of the organization. So this is all about for the today's session. So thank you.